another episode of TalktoTat, Real People, Real Talk, Real Life. I am your lovely host, Tatiana Monet. I have been itching to get back onto the mic and do another episode. I've done some traveling and everything, so my videos have been kind of late. But nonetheless, I'm here, okay? I hope y'all have been living y'all life, speaking on your ish and standing on your business and just living in your truth. You know what I mean? So I hope that that's what has been going on for you guys, because it surely has for me. Not without its trials and tribulations. So just know you around to make it through another day and help fulfill your purpose. You just got to take it one moment at a time. I had to put that out there. I don't know if somebody needed to hear that, but that was for you. So what this episode is going to be about, guys, is the fact that everybody ain't you. What I mean by that is everybody is not designed to think the way you do, speak the way you do, act the way you do. And I'm not saying that as if, oh yeah, like I know this and I get it right every time. This is more and more of an eye-opener for me. The longer I live, the older I get, the more I experience. And I have to remember, not everybody is raised by Shantan and Tim. Not everybody has a decent upbringing. Not everybody is considerate, whether it's their actions or what they say or how they think. For instance, common courtesy. It's not so common nowadays, is it? Just like common sense. I've actually been calling it selective sense. It ain't common anymore. Like, that's kaput. What has been occurring as of late, rather rampantly, is people just acting a plumb fool, and you either having to take the high road, walk away, or just realize that there's a difference of opinion, or just knowing like, okay, I need to reclassify this person or fortify this boundary, establish this standard, whatever have you. And sometimes I get sick of such differentiation when it comes to how people act and think, because it's like, if you don't stand for something, you're gonna fall for anything. If you aren't caring about something, then I mean, what are you doing things for? Or how about this? Why is it okay for you to do and say the things that you are? But the lesson that has been showing up in more recent events, while I wasn't recording and stuff, is the fact that people ain't you. Everybody ain't you. Granted, does that make me all the more special? Absolutely it does. I love that. Sometimes that blessing can also be a burden as well. Not necessarily a burden for me, like as a person, but it's burdensome. It's a burden and it's cumbersome to deal with other individuals when like, as long as I'm in this environment or connected to the likes of these specific people, I may still have to have exposure to this person or to people who think and act this particular type of way. And I really don't like it. So let's give a hypothetical. Let's say the way that person A solves their problem is by putting their hands on people. Like, that's your go-to reaction. Not everybody think like that. Not everybody thinks that it's okay to just initiate and put your hands on somebody without just cause. Like, you have to get me riled up for me to want to put my hands on you. It can't just be you cut in front of me in line. It can't just be we have a disagreement. It can't just be we just different people. So you may do things that I don't agree with and vice versa. That doesn't warrant the type of response that's being given nowadays. People are just so quick to go to the extreme. I'm not going to say I don't know where it come from, but where are the punitive damages? Where are the butt whoop? I'm trying not to cuss on here for my mother's sake, but where are the beat downs? You know what I mean? Where is the punishment, the reprimand, the consequence? And then what makes it even worse is a lot of people don't care about those. So it's like, where are your morals? Where are your values? Like, why are you here? If you're not going to assimilate and be a human being, there's no purpose of you being here. And I'm not sitting here just enticing people to just off themselves, but go be in a bubble somewhere else where nobody got to deal with you and your problems and your mouth, and you thinking that it's okay to just do retarded, messed up stuff. You know what I mean? And it's getting harder and harder for people like me to continue to take the high road. Is it a blessing? Yes. Are you more mature for doing that? Yes. But some people get that confused as if you some type of punk or something. Like people just gonna get comfortable. You gonna let people get comfortable disrespecting you. Nah, bruh. This ain't that by any means. So me having to remember everybody ain't me. That's sometimes a tough pill to swallow when it's unfortunate things or unfavorable things, you know. And because this episode is going to be about both sides to that, because I also want to put out something that's inspirational, you know what I mean? But so for this first take on it, with it being unfavorable, when I say it's so much that's been happening, y'all, and not even just with me, but just what I be seeing too, you know, just talking with people and stuff like that. And it's like people really be blowing me. Like they either be talking out the side of their neck, or I don't know if it's in the air, if it's just like that season for BS. You know what I mean? It's just like, what the heck is going on? Is it in the water? Is it like, what is it? You know, and when you have to work with somebody who's ignorant and they think first, I mean, they react first and think later, if at all, or if you have a relative that just do what they want to do, inflict whatever pain on everybody else in the family, and then mosey on like nothing ever happened. It's just like, what is wrong with you? Or even just strangers. There's no common decency anymore. You got some really ignorant people out there that don't care about your life, their life. They don't care about nothing. Like there's just no distinction between being a human and being a Neanderthal. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. I want people to get better. I want people to genuinely start expressing that it takes a village, you know, yeah, take a village to raise a child, but just that sense of community. I really want that back, because I'm tired of everybody being so much for self, or with with the business, that they just don't care about nothing, because that is not getting anybody anywhere. It's making environments more difficult to thrive and assimilate into. It's just so much. It's so much, you know. And the more people I talk to, it's like everybody over it. Everybody over it. Everybody is like, if this one more thing happen, or if this one more person does this or that, it's like everybody on their last leg. And I see why, because people just have no coon. People just have no coon. Like, okay, somebody I know was telling me that they were in a relationship, and that person was very needy, very entitled and demanding and controlling. And they always wanted. They weren't contributing as much. They were very controlling and manipulative. And it's like, okay, you want all of those things, but you're not bringing nothing to the table. But everybody ain't you. No, everybody ain't gonna think the way you think. Some people don't think about reciprocation. Some people, for instance, if you get invited to a party, you don't think to not come empty handed. Like I was raised, never show up to anywhere you invited to empty handed. You bring something, you know, like you contribute. You don't just come mooch and leave. You know, this ain't that. Everybody ain't you. Or how you may solve a problem. You may be more level headed, or willing to see both sides of the story, or be able to agree to disagree. Everybody ain't you. Some people don't think like that. Some people not built like that. And it's just like, well, where are you built from? Because what this is ain't working. That be irritating my soul, y'all. I swear it do. But everybody ain't you. Everybody ain't you. Everybody don't have the same amount of experience, or they don't have things that they've cared about before, or they don't have no sense of direction and self-governance. So it's like, why is it okay? It's not okay, but like, why is it tolerated? Why is it manifesting? Why is it becoming this thing? It's no longer an oddity. It's a new norm. Absolutely not. I don't accept. I'm not for it. It's not gonna happen. I promise you on everything I love, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Be more mindful of, because if you want what you want out of life, you're not gonna get that by creating a reign of terror, confusion, and chaos amongst everybody. You can't lead no path like that. behind and think that everybody just finna no, but man, because you're gonna fall hard. And if you don't care about that stuff, cool, but don't make it a thing when people are now reacting to that foolishness. You got to be able to take what you dish out. And that's the one, like one of the things that really gets me about people who are like that is when it's done back to you, you can't handle it. Huh? That don't make no sense to me. I don't ask nobody to do nothing that I'm not willing to do. It's like, why aren't you built like that? Like, and if you weren't already instilled with those behavioral characteristics and traits within your upbringing, you can adopt them. Ooh, shocker. You can. Just like you can learn a new skill, buy some new clothes or shoes, or go on a new trip, or learn the words to a new song, or, binge watch a television show, and now your thoughts and your words kind of like measure up to theirs for a second because you've been overexposed to it. Okay, if you could do all of those things with those hobbies and those leisure activities, then you can do that regarding building your character. Because that can't be an excuse. Saying, oh, I don't think like you, or I don't act like you, or I'm not you, or I just wasn't built like the way you built. We cut from different cloths or whatever. That can't be an excuse anymore. Not when you are trying to justify some miscellaneous frivolity. No, it's not an excuse. It's not okay. It's unacceptable. For instance, you got people who living in an apartment complex, they don't understand that how much noise they cause. It is disrupting. It can create a stressful environment because your peace is not even there anymore. It's like you cannot enjoy the fruits of your own labor and the solace and sanctity of your own home because somebody is trying to blend your apartments together. But then when you try to communicate that to them, it's like, well, I don't want to have to do XYZ to accommodate you. So then why do I have to be okay with it? What's wrong with me letting you know you thundering above me, or your guests are loud and being all ratchet by my front door? You know what I mean? Where I hear every single conversation you have, or your little cousins and stuff is running up and grabbing and touching on me and stuff like that. Like, oh, hello, can I play with your dog? No, you can't play with my dog. Don't touch Layla. You can't play with her. I don't want you touching her. Get away from her. Get away from me. Shut up. I don't want to see you. Some people don't understand why stuff like that can be disturbing. Or I'm not you, and I got a life too. Well, so do I. That can't be an excuse to justify you doing something that has a negative impact on someone else for no reason. Enough. Like, grow up. Move on. Heal. Love yourself. Do some self-care, some maintenance. Go do something. Because when you start reprogramming your mind to focus on things that actually matter, you ain't going to be having the problems that you have. Like, you not. Like, for instance, people who insert themselves into situations. If something going on between me and another person and you weren't there, and now you jumping in like you got all this rah-rah going on, it's like, what the fuck you... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Mom. That brought me back for a second. But it's like, what you on? What you on? You ain't got no other things to do? I promise you I could give you a list. And those things will benefit me too. Make room for what matters. Make room for what makes sense. Just because, oh, well, this situation involves somebody that I know. Okay, and so what? If the matter can be handled by another individual, or if the matter is nothing to be handled at all, then why are you inserting yourself in it? Doesn't make any sense. Everybody ain't you, right? That's what we got to remember, right? Everybody ain't you. Everybody ain't going to think the way you think. Like, people be giving grace to the wrong people. You want the nice people to keep giving you grace. And I don't even want to say nice like just the people who get walked over and stuff like that. I'm saying, like, for people who have restraint, how I talked about in one of my previous episodes, for people who have earned their peace. And I know that if you heard what I just said, if you can relate to that, you know what it took to get to a certain level of peace and tranquility. And you don't want to explore the level of violence that a situation can sometimes warrant to disturb what you have worked so hard for. That's just like you building this sandcastle and somebody come knock it down. You like, wait a minute, I done withstood the wind, the sun. I'm out here, I got my utensils, I done packed everything, got my little water to make sure all of it is solidified and everything, and somebody come and knock my sandcastle down. Everybody know if you're doing something in the sand and somebody come and kick through your stuff, you're going to have a problem, because you're like, I took the time, the dedication, the commitment. I isolated myself from everything else and focused on ensuring that this thing right here comes to fruition. This matters. This is something that I invested in. My input has some type of satisfactory, contribution to my life, like my peace. Why would I want anybody trying to kick down my sandcastle of peace? I work too hard for it. But don't tempt me. And that's the thing. People are just in this tempt mode. They like to tempt you, push your buttons, try you, but then rest on the fact that, oh, well, everybody ain't you. I was having a moment, or, whatever have you. Like, for instance, there was a situation at work one time, and a coworker who's several years younger than me decided to escalate a matter even further and tried to show levels of aggression when everybody came around. Because when it was just me and that person one-on-one, they weren't doing that. So I'm like, okay, what? But everybody looking at me. Tatiana, calm down. I hate when people say that. By the way, y'all, I don't like when people tell me to calm down. I have a very big issue with that. Very, very big issue, because I, one, don't like being embarrassed. That's a pet peeve of mine. Two, I don't like when people try to sun me. I don't appreciate that at all. Like, I'm in the room. I'm in the room. Any room I'm in, I deserve to be there. So there's nothing I got to prove. You know what I mean? I make my way. I earn my keep. So don't try to sun me. Don't try to lessen me. I don't like people trying to belittle me. None of that. And definitely don't like when people get disrespectful and show signs of aggression towards me, especially passive aggressive. Oh my God, I can't stand that either. Like, you got to pick one, baby. You can't throw the rock and hide your hand. Nah. So when people would ask me to calm down and pray and walk away and remember the end goal type thing, it's like, yeah, but no, not at the expense of what I have worked for. I work for my reputation. I work for my peace. And when I say peace, I mean, certain things I don't deserve to have happen to me. If I don't want my peace disturbed by your anger and aggression, or, proximity is being violated, like, hey, you getting close? What's going on? What we doing? Where we at? Did you forget who you were? Because I'll remind you. It's not okay. It's not okay. That individual knows it's not okay, and it will never happen again. But it's just dumb stuff like that. I don't get it. Like, don't allow the fact that you're involved in something stupid, something reckless, something careless, something ignorant, and let the excuse be, well, I mean, this is me. I ain't like you. I ain't. You're a coward. I said it. You're a coward. You suck. Like, you got some healing to do. You got some learning to do. You got some work to do. And you need to knock it off. You really do, because it's not going to get you where you want. It's not going to keep who you want around you or welcome in new things that you feel like you deserve. You're going to always have to look over your shoulder, fight harder, do more. Like, you bringing all of that on yourself. And at the end of the day, if everybody's saying the same thing about you, it's you. It's not an excuse. I mean, it's not a reason. Don't make it a reason. You're abusing it and masking a reason as an excuse. Don't do that. You got to want better for yourself. I can't stand that, y'all. Like, when I try to rationalize something and people are like, well, Tatiana, everybody not like you. They're not going to think that deep into it. Or, they're not going to, like, for instance, okay, somebody I'm close to, sometimes they switch up on how they act or whatever. And I don't like that. Like if we cool, like no matter what goes on in each other's lives, and we have our habits where it's like, hey, I'm checking on you, this or that, and then you switch up, and then I'm pinpointing that, and you like, well, no, that's where you're coming from with it. It's not how it is. It's like, but if that's what you're showing me, then why isn't that what it is? So you either lying to you or you're lying to me. you're gonna have to pick one, because anytime something wrong with you, something happens in the friendship. That's not a friendship I'm gonna want to continue. Period. Like we all have our own standards, our own values, our limits. Stop pushing everybody's limits. It's not okay. If somebody speaks on something and they bring it to your attention, first of all, that's a courtesy in itself, because some people don't speak. I've learned how to speak and be less reactive, because I don't want to block my blessings, and I want the Lord to smile down on me. I really do. We all human, though. So from time to time, it won't be the hesitation. It will be the whoop, whether it's words, hands, whatever, objects across the room. So it just depends. It just depends. But don't take stuff like that for granted. People who are giving y'all grace for you making your bogus, fugazi excuses about, oh, this is just me, this is just how I am, you're going to continue to lose. And some of y'all don't even realize you're losing. And that's a whole nother story. And you're going to have to deal with that on your own. But to close the point on this side of the topic, people who constantly put everything out on everybody else, and they are okay with being stuck where they're at in their lack of development and their lack of critical thinking, that has a negative impact on other people and other things around them. I'd be wishing not to coexist with you. It's annoying, like if you got a coworker or a supervisor at work, and it's just like, you the only one that everybody don't get along with, or you always got something to say, or it's always a problem. It's like, come on, man. Well, I ain't y'all. No. It's you. You right. You're not us. And sometimes this group facilitated, assimilated, dwelling together in unity type of thing is very necessary, because we are human. We are naturally designed to do that. What you're doing is anti-human. Like, this is not okay. And what happens to, when you think of evolution, because I love springtime, because that's when some of the best animal shows come out. When somebody gets separated from the herd, what does that make them? A liability, right? Come on now. You're eating. The poacher's coming, the tiger's coming, the hyena's coming, whatever it is, your predator is coming. So in instances like that, where doing the right thing and having some sense of togetherness and just a commonality of action and thought, when it makes sense, when it matters, when it is positive, why would you want to separate yourself from that? Why would you want to be disassociated from good things that work? But then use the excuse, oh, this is just me. No, something happened to you. Maybe not enough has happened to you. But either way, that's a you problem. And you got to deal with that on your own and stop putting it out there for the rest of the world to have to take it for you. It's not going to happen. If you don't stop it, it will stop you. Period. My next point. Now, when everybody ain't you, and it's a good thing, I know there have been like some group interactions that I've been a part of, and people are doing things just, it's not okay. Like, okay, for instance, I remember being in college and a group of us went out to this one place, and it was a Mexican spot, and we're all eating, drinking, and all of that. Out of nowhere, I see everybody get up when we're done eating, and they just walk out. Now, mind you, Tatiana likes to finish her plate, and I chit chat. I'm very sociable and stuff like that. So I was one of the last people to get up. And as I'm getting up, the waiter comes to me, and they're like, "Oh, who's gonna pay the tab?" I said, "Excuse me." They're like, yeah, so everybody who, like, where did everybody go that just got up and left? And I'm like, hold up. And when I tell you, y'all, it was like at least 15 of us. Like, that was our go-to spot. We always went there in masses. So I'm like, hold on. I said, well, first of all, it ain't gonna be me paying for it. I'm paying for my stuff. This is what I had. Cause what I do is this too. Side note. Whenever I'm with a big group of people, I always ask the server for my tab up front. One, sometimes I don't want auto gratuity. And two, I don't want nothing happening with my bill. I want to be able to pay for my stuff unless somebody, like, says, hey, Tati, I got you, whatever. But I'm just like that. That's just me. Everybody ain't me. So in instances like that, I'm like, I'm glad I'm not like everybody else, because some places when you're a server, you gotta come out your own pocket for whatever got skipped out on. This is how people make their living. Why in the world would you think that it's okay to just get up like that and leave? It's not like the service was bad or, nothing happened right. Like, it was nothing like that. We had a wonderful time. Everybody ate, drank, whatever, and then just looked at each other and just got up and left. And I'm like, what is all of that about? Whatever. I'll meet y'all. I'm coming. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Here's my bill. Let me pay my bill. I don't know what you're going to do about the rest of this. And I do apologize. I said, but I'm not, like, I'm with them, but I'm not on what they on. Nah, I'm not doing that. That's not okay. That's not okay. Or for instance, like gang up bullying. I've seen people, it was these little kids. I don't know why I was around them. Whatever I was doing, I think it was something with charity or something like that. Because I'm like, why was I around a group of kids? But when I was around these group of kids, they all started like talking about one of the other kids, like going in on them. And y'all know kids are cruel. Like, we all done went through it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, wait, I felt for the kid. I said, hold up, wait a minute. And as I'm speaking up, one child got up and was like, y'all not gonna talk about so and so, and started calling everybody else out and explain why they not gonna talk about so and so. I was like, see, everybody ain't you. Everybody ain't you. That one person, just like me, we both saw something and was like, hold up. Granted, I didn't have to resolve it because a child actually did. And I'm very proud of that child and I commended them. But I'm like, yo, just because one person talking about the little kid, then all y'all got to start talking about them. It's like, nah, you need to learn this skill at this very age now, because if you take that into adulthood, baby, it's not going to work for you. Another thing that is really good about everybody not being me, when I do something, nobody does it like Tatiana does it. Not by any means, not even if they tried. And that's a beautiful thing. No one walks how I walk. No one talks how I talk. Nobody has my essence. Nobody has my demeanor. No one has me. Like, I'm the only one that has me inside out. You know what I mean? And that makes me special. That makes my entire being a sacred, dope thing. Like, not even just thing, but just an entity, a light, a power, whatever. Insert all of those positive, what are they called? I can't think of the word, y'all. I'm so tired. Symbolism. What are those things called? They're very similar. When I tell y'all I'm tongue tied and my mind is just gone right now, I don't know what those things are called. Analogies and synonyms. I feel like I'm saying some of the right things, but whatever. We're going to move on from there because I don't want to ramble. But it's a beautiful thing to be a person who can think outside of the box, be unconventional, dare to try something different, take a risk. Like, for instance, it'll be funny. I'll show my best friend something when I'm thinking about like outfit choices and stuff like that. And I'm like, y'all, what y'all think about this? And they're like, bestie, no. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then when I go wear it, you was cute. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, we would never wear that, but you wore that. You know what I mean? It's like, it makes me different. That's my style. You know what I mean? So I like stuff like that. I like that even when, like, for instance, if I'm in a group setting, like when I was in school and stuff like that, and things would be explained to us I would be one of the few people that would be like, well, it depends. Like anybody who's grown up with me, they know I'm always saying like it depends or I'm impartial or all that stuff. So that's definitely a me thing where I'm like, it depends because I think about it this way. Like I see where you coming from, but I also look at it like this. Like I make room for other things to come in. I make room for other possibilities and alternatives for me to conceptualize. I love that about me. I love that I take the time to think about an infinite amount of possibilities. I love the fact that when I create something, it's not going to look like nothing else nobody in the world has done. I like that when I express myself, it comes off in a way where it's like, yeah, that's Tatiana. You ain't gonna find that nowhere else but with that woman right there. I love that stuff. And I say that to say that doesn't come with its own gripes. Sometimes it can be a very lonely thing to know that everybody ain't you. And how you think and how you feel can sometimes feel like a punishment when you have no one else dwelling with you in those actions and in those behaviors. It can sometimes be very isolating and cold. Part of that journey though is knowing that I was beautifully and wonderfully made. So that doesn't come without its own ups and downs. And so that's the nature of the beast when it comes to stuff like that. When you have somebody that's special, that's one of a kind, that's dope, it's not something where it's just going to be peaches and cream. First of all, that's something that you got to maintain. That takes work. That takes practice. That takes pushing the boundaries and taking risks so that you can evolve. Like that's how evolution happens. Evolution happens with force consistently. And for me, how I interpret that is me being me and the beautiful things that make me unlike any other. It means that it's going to come with me cultivating that garden, working on myself, building myself, entering and exiting different phases of me and of life and of other people, and still being able to withstand that. It could be a very beautiful thing when you make it through the unpretty parts. It really can. And granted, I like autonomy when it's necessary, but there is nothing like being the oddball because you stand out. It's I get that a lot too, like when dating and stuff like that. I'll hear a man say, "Well, I never like been around a woman who thinks like this or who acts like this." It's like, wow, like, you stand out. I have no problem with that because there's way too many people in this world to try to be like everybody else. There's too many personalities to try to copy. I ain't got time for that. I'm okay. I promise you I am. So I say that to say this is I'll call it an action, a call to action. There you go. Y'all, excuse me, y'all, excuse me. But this is a call to action. If you have ever felt like you don't belong or you question yourself or you struggle with being different, just know, and I'm talking about in good situations, like you're the only one who dances a certain type of way, or you're the only one who wears this type of style of clothes, or you're the only one that listens to this type of music, or you're the one friend in the group that you think about things from a certain perspective. Lean into that. Embrace that. That's where our identity comes from. It's not about being like everybody else when it comes to your identity. Your identity is just that. It's yours alone. It is about you. It is for you to master and to fine tune. And that's something that is done consistently over time. And the more you do it, the more you really get to live life in other ways. The more you get to have different relationships with the same types of people because y'all going through those phases together. Yeah, that sounded almost poetic, didn't it? Aha! Yeah, book your girl. Because I actually do spoken word. Side note, I got back on the stage again to do spoken word, and that was a hidden talent that a lot of people didn't know about me. Ha ha ha. And it was a really, really good thing. It was a release for me. I mean, anything artistic is something that allows me to speak without my words, you know. But in this case, it was technically spoken word. And it felt good. Like when I got up there and the moment I started speaking, once I was done, the reception that I got from the crowd, people were like, you did really good. Like you had a really nice poem. I felt with what you were saying. I connected with you. A lot of times, you being the only person, because I don't think, maybe one other person probably did spoken word. Everybody else was really singing. So, you know, I stood out. I was different. And a lot of times, what can make you different by you being you and everybody ain't being you, it could be a breath of fresh air. It could be a really dope and necessary concept to a moment. Like, kind of like when you see the clouds changing, not the cloud, the stuff. Lord forgive me. It's like when you see the weather changing. You know what I mean? Like when it rains and then the sun come out and it's just like you know, it wakes you up. It just like you just get perky, you get happy. You know what I mean? Or when you were in the house all day and then you step outside for the first time and that first breath that you take, it's like, yeah, I felt that. Or like that first sip of pop that you get because you were in such a state before where you were dealing with whatever you were dealing with. So when something new is brought into the mix, it's like, yeah, I needed that. Sometimes being different is necessary. It's needed. It's missing. Show up, sit in that, embrace that, ride that wave as long as you can. You know what I mean? Like, nobody is supposed to be exactly like you when it comes to you making your mark on this earth. A lot of times, it's how we are different that really brings us together, because that's how we can make up for where other people may not be able to, you know, accommodate. It's a balance. When you think about yin and yang, they both have their own separate ideologies that together make sense and creates balance and cohesion and peace. Our differences, when they're utilized positively, can warrant a beautiful, wondrous occasion. But it's going to take work. It's going to take for that perspective to be refreshed on what separates good from bad, from not masking reasons as excuses, or not masking excuses as reasons. Yeah, that. Yeah. And me correcting it now, that's for previous as well. So y'all take that. I'm human. There you go. And I'm not editing this out. So, you know, I want y'all, it's real people, real talk, real life. And this is how we talk. So I'm not going to sit here and just edit out how I'm saying things or anything like that. You're going to get it in the raw as I'm saying it. Because that's it. That's all I got. And that's different too. Like, I've even noticed with some of these podcasts out here when people talk about like quote unquote real life, and it's like, nah, you staged that. You know, even with social media, how some people, their social media life be banging, but when that camera is down, their life is nothing like how they crafted it to be when they put it on public display. So you false flagging, basically. I'm not sitting here saying that everybody needs to be your diary. I'm not saying that at all. It's a difference between you posting like celebratory stuff. You don't want to just post like, oh, this tragic thing happened to me, like, especially if you don't want everybody in your business. But it's how you do things. And that's the difference between everybody ain't you being a good thing or a bad thing. It's how it is done, how it is carried out, how the thoughts are turned into actions, how those actions perpetuate. That's the separation. They're both still connected, because at the end of the day, everybody ain't you. Period. So how that can be utilized can either be a blessing or a curse. So, for the sake of me not rambling, that is the content that I wanted to put out for you guys today. I know that there's going to be aspects of this that I'm going to be able to touch on in other videos that may relate to this, but this was just scratching the surface. I really felt in my spirit that I needed to put it out there and just say that, because I know some people out there are like, is it just me? Or, and sometimes it's like, nah, boo, it ain't you, it's them. But other times, no, boo, it's you. It's you. But just having the discernment and the wherewithal to differentiate and act accordingly, that's where everybody got to get on the same page with. Yeah. So that concludes this week's episode of TalktoTat, Real People, Real Talk, Real Life. Tatiana Monet is tired, y'all. So with that being said, just know my videos will continue to come. Just give me some grace, just like I got to give myself some grace. But no matter how tired I am, I'm still compelled to get on this mic because I got something to say. And I love that I can utilize this platform to talk about things that people are actually going through that may not be the topic of conversation as far as mainstream communication goes. And I love that. I love that I'm able to use this as a tool and not as a weapon. So, until next time, lovely people, I hope that you guys were able to gain something from what I've said. If you want to comment on it, I welcome them. Let's just make sure that we are communicating in love and light, because this is not a platform that bashing will be allowed on either end. So please tune in, like, follow, subscribe. If you have any topics that you would like for me to talk about, please let me know. I would love to cover them for you. If you would like to be a guest on the show, whether it's virtually or in person, I also welcome that as well. Just contact me. So my Instagram is Tatiana Monet. My TikTok is Tatiana_Monet. And the podcast Instagram is _TalktoTat. This is Tatiana Monet signing out one more time. Until next time. Bye, y'all.